Hi, I'm Mrs. Gorman. I'm the literacy coach here at Plant High School, and in this video I want to talk to you about testing anxiety and how to deal with it, as well as some test taking tips. So we're going to move upstairs and get comfortable, and I'm going to give you some tips from me. So for example, I'm going to give you test taking tips on the SAT, the ACT, and the FSA. So for your first tip, I'm going to talk to you about eliminating wrong answer choices. So for eliminating wrong answer choices, you want to go in not trying to find the correct answer, you want to go in trying to find the wrong answer. So if you eliminate all the answer choices that are wrong first, the right answer will just magically appear, like magic. Learn to be extremely picky with your answer choices. If something seems subjective, it's just an illusion. They are not trying to trick you on any of these assessments, even though it might seem that way. So look at each answer choice, especially in the reading and writing section, and look to see if maybe one word, like very much or always, those are very tricky and kind of sketchy words. You want to look at those answer choices because that will be the reason why that answer choice is wrong. So my second test taking tip is to understand your mistakes. If you take any test here on campus or a standardized test, it's always important to learn from your mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you have nothing to learn from it. So when you're looking at each answer choice, I always label it in 3 sections: M, T, and E. M being something that you need to memorize. So for example, if you need to memorize the rules for semicolons, it's very wise to look back on those sections. Khan Academy and your friend Google have many great resources for you that can show you how to use a semicolon. So if anything that you need to memorize, I would always mark that question with an M so you can go back to it, look up some resources, take some notes, and learn that rule. The second one is T. So tricky question. So anything in the question that might have tricked you, maybe something you weren't able to comprehend. So for example, if there was a word such as the preceding sentence, and for some reason you thought precede meant after, even though it means before, that's something that you'll want to look at, because that's something that tricked you on the exam. So even anything in the wording of the question can be very tricky at times. So you want to make sure that you not only understand the question, but you know how to execute what you need to do for that question. The last one is E. Human error. So this is when a lot of time when kids are running out of time on a test, they make careless mistakes like forgetting to bubble the correct answer choice, they skip a question, or they don't read the entire question, they skim over it. So that is when you're gonna make some careless errors on the test. So you wanna make sure that if you are skipping questions, that you mark it appropriately on your answer sheet and in your test booklet so you know exactly what you are skipping and that you're not making any careless mistakes. So you want to mark that with an E for human error. So that is the MTE rule. So always make sure that you go back and you look through your answer choices and the questions that you missed to make sure that you understand why you missed those answers. For my third test taking tip, I want to talk about not leaving anything blank. It is so frustrating for a teacher when we're collecting Scantrons and we see that students are leaving blanks on a test. I'm here to tell you, do not leave anything blank. On the SAT and the ACT, they do not mark you off for wrong answers. So it does not hurt you to just guess on something. Of course you want to make an educated guess, but if time is running out, you want to make sure that you complete everything, because the odds of you getting something right is a small percent, but it can only help you and not hurt you. So this is my 4th tip for you all. So you want to have an action plan going into any assessment. So for the SAT, the reading section, it is 65 minutes with 52 questions. You need to know that before you take the exam. If you don't, you might be a little anxious and panicky because you have no idea of the amount of questions or the time. So I recommend not only knowing that information, but having a plan of action on how you will tackle that reading section. So if your strength is a social science reading piece and you feel like you do well with those passages, I would recommend starting with that piece first. So that piece might not be the first passage that you see in the reading section. It could be the 3rd piece that you see in the reading section. That's okay to skip around and start with your strength and start with something that actually piques your interest, and then do well with those passages first, and then move toward the passages that are a little bit less engaging. Maybe it's a science passage, maybe it's a literature passage, so something that you know that you need to spend a little bit more time on, but you might not score as well just because it's more difficult for you to understand and it doesn't pique your interest as much. You want to make sure that you're gain every question that you can correct, so that's why I recommend starting with your strengths. For this tip, tip number 5, I want to talk to you about something very important. Testing anxiety. You're not the only one who feels it. Many students here also face testing anxiety. I'm here to tell you why. You are not prepared or confident enough to take the test that you're about to take. So how do we eliminate the testing anxiety? One way is to be prepared. So make sure that you understand what's going to be on the test. Make sure that you understand the amount of questions, how the questions are going to be asked, and the time that you have for each question. Also practice. Repetition makes permanent. Doesn't make perfect, but it does make permanent. So I encourage you to not only go into each test knowing how to do it, but feeling confident because you practice so much that you have a game plan going into the test. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helps. On the next video, stay tuned because we will be covering the content that is on the SAT. Peace out, Panthers. So cheesy.